nicely. It's the Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. Yeah, they clean up nicely. Yeah.
Hey,
Daft Punks, how's everybody feeling today? Day after Cinco de Mayo, and I have a little bit of a hangover. I'll be honest.
the dent 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 dent. Gotcha, huh?
Oh, they just keep um just people thinking that we need to celebrate with tequila, which I'm like, I just don't think we need to do that. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. They had a mariachi band. And then I played probably a longer set than normal because it was packed. So it was fun.
Yeah.
Great day. Yeah.
You were at Bungalow last night, right?
Yep.
What time did you start and what time did you end?
I think I started at 3, ended at about 9:30.
Whew, that is a long
Yeah,
one.
it was a long one. It was a fun day. Everyone was in a great mood, and it was just fun. And did so many gigs this weekend. It was just, for whatever reason, everyone was celebrating all weekend. I did a double on Saturday, had a gig on Friday, Thursday. It's just, I'm happy that it's somewhat over today.
I feel you. I did the gigs. I did all 3 Reds games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I DJ'd gigs Friday, Saturday, and Sunday after the game. So it was a long one for me as well. And yeah, people were out partaking in the festivities last night too. I had some drinks. I then did my old man prep when I came home, which is eat something and chug 2 bottles of water before going to bed. And
Right.
I don't feel that bad today, but
Smart man.
yeah, sometimes. Or just say no, I think is the other thing. That would be the smarter option.
I don't know what that means.
Didn't they teach you that in elementary school? Just say no?
No, definitely not.
We got a great guest for you guys today. We're going to bring him on here in a second. But before we do that, we want to talk a little bit about our sponsors, one being Crate Hackers. We also have a new promo code for you guys with that. And the promo code DAFS, DAFS, gets you 50% off your first 3 months, or that will get you 30% off an annual subscription. And, you know, we've been talking a lot about Crate Hackers. If you listen to our last episode, that's something we do once a month on their hackathons. Drew and I get on there and we discuss music. We try to talk a different topic every single time. If you're into the music talk, like I said, last episode, Drew and I did that on the podcast as well.
Yeah, a bunch of talked about sing-alongs. In fact, I was going to say I used the banger button this weekend.
Oh, yeah? Tell me about the banger button.
Yeah. You know, you don't have to go off every song, but if you're stuck, it's a nice thing to just hit and go, oh, I forgot about that one, and throw something on. So
it's a tool,
nice.
And that's where people get mistaken. You know, oh my God, this is stupid. It's like, no, it's a tool to help you. You have to use it right.
Yeah. You just use it when you can. You get stuck, you can throw it on to get some ideas. So great little feature. Definitely worth it.
Yeah, if you guys don't know what the banger button is, it's a little button that sits on your Serato, and it's AI, and it helps suggest songs while you're DJing. So it reads the song that's playing, and then it'll pull up in the little box suggested songs that go with that song. Again, you don't have to play those songs. You don't have to use them at all. It's a tool if you get stuck. Let's say you're like a weekend warrior and you DJ only a couple times a month, and you know you don't feel as on top of your game. That would be a great tool to use to like help you get back into the swing of things.
Yep. Yeah, it's came in handy. It's a long set, so I was just digging for other ideas. So yeah, came in handy. It was great.
The other promo we have to talk about is if you use promo code Drew and Fuse Show, that'll get you 30% off your first month of activation on directmusicservice.com. Drew and I both work for Direct Music Service. We edit. If you haven't signed up yet, check it out. Anything else you want to add?
That's it, man. Let's bring our guest in.
All right. So today's guest is hailing in from Pittsburgh. He's a longtime DJ. He still DJs. he has his own agency that handles bookings for DJs as well as like booking corporate clients and weddings. He now owns a bar that I feel like if you're in the DJ world, everybody's heard of, because I feel like every DJ's kind of dream is to open their own spot and, like control everything musically. So he now has lived that dream, and I got to visit that bar in Pittsburgh. It's called the Gold Mark, and when I was there for the Level Up DJs with Zimmy, I got to meet him and hang out. So we want to bring on DJ Nugget. Help us welcome DJ Nugget.
Hey, thank you guys. That's a really nice intro. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks. Pleasure to be here.
I just want to say it was awesome finally getting to, meet you and hang out at the Gold Mark and just kind of see your vision for the place kind of come alive. I remember seeing pictures of like when you took that place over and hearing about it so much, and then finally getting to see it this past, 2 weeks ago was
Yeah,
awesome.
man. It was good to have you in there. Yeah, it's good to finally meet you too. I feel like it's rare that I follow somebody for so long on social media, and I've been following Fuse forever. And even when I saw you the night before, I think that Level Up really went into play. And as soon as I walked by you, because you were standing in the one bar that we were frequenting on Sunday, and I walked by you, and I was like, I think that's Fuse Mania. And then I was just like, yo, what's up? I'll probably see you guys
yeah, that's
tomorrow.
right. Yeah, that's right. That was because went to hang out with Dave at the Flats, the place. That's where you guys were. I didn't even know you were in there, and then like you guys were headed out, right? And I was like, oh shit, I would have hung out and talked to you guys had I known that. But no, that was cool.
Yeah, we didn't stay late that night, but it was cool. It was funny. It was just like walking by and like I feel like I know that guy. And when you're when you're in your own city, and then you see somebody and you're like, I know that person. And then you're like, oh wait, no, I've never met that guy, but I do know him.
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna ask about the bar. Fuse just opened his own bar, but I wasn't there, so I just wanted to know a little bit about it. And are you actually DJing it? You're booking the people that come through? You're handling just what goes into that, at least music wise?
Yeah. So the bar has pretty much been the same like since I wrote the business plan for it, which is almost like 10 years ago, almost 11 years ago actually. But so right now we're open 4 nights a week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Wednesdays and Thursdays are more like niche nights. They're monthly events. So every first Wednesday of the month is a specific party. Every second Wednesday of the month is a specific party. Thursdays are the same thing. And we try to hit a little bit of everything and get as many local DJs involved. And over the years, some of those nights have been the same for 8 years, which is actually really wild. Some of them have switched a few times, but we've hit everything from, literally you name it, dancehall, EDM, straight vinyl, funk and soul nights, hip hop nights, R&B nights. There's pretty much everything. And then the weekends are open format. So every Friday, we've had the same DJ on Friday since we opened, which is one of my good buddies, DJ Midas, amazing DJ, local DJ in Pittsburgh. Does some traveling a little bit, but he's more of a local guy. Just super solid all around. One of my favorite DJs, honestly. And then Saturdays, ever since we opened, I basically pulled back all of my gigs whenever we opened the bar because I knew I was just going to be there all the time. Took over Saturdays myself, and then I always try to have a guest with me. So they can be local, they can be national. We've had guests from out of the country. And then one Saturday a month, I always try to just do a full night myself, which doesn't always work out. Like sometimes when there's people in town, I'm just like, yeah, just come play with me.
Right.
But that's been the same for 8 years. So it's really worked out.
I think it's awesome. Yeah, I think the bar itself is like, it's very like DJ music forward, but like in a good way. It's not like over the top. And, I know we were there for, the Level Up thing and all that, but I really liked the space, and you guys do a good job of keeping it like nice and clean. And I even mentioned smelling good, because we all know when we walk into those bars and they just stink, and it's like, it smells like a foot in here. And like, it's hard. It's hard for some places to do that upkeep because, as we talked about, people are just assholes. They just come into your place and like destroy your bathroom for no reason. And then you're like, what, why? And then you have to go in and do whatever to, you know, make it
Always.
look nice again. And the upkeep on these spots is tough. It's tough to keep things looking nice, but you guys do a really good job.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. You said that night, and I was like, man, that's an amazing compliment to get the good smell compliment. Because in a small bar, I mean, our bar is pretty small, and in a small place, and it's an old building. It's like a 140-year-old building, so we try our best to keep it clean. And you know, ever since COVID, whenever COVID hit, we had another place. It was a big nightclub on the other side of town that I opened with another DJ here, and we closed that during COVID. But during that time, I wasn't as present at the Gold Mark as I wanted to be, just because it was so hectic having two places. So
Right.
my wife was really holding down the fort during that time, and she still does to this day. But we have a really good work balance at the bar. She kind of does an amazing job running all the back end stuff, and then I'm kind of like the social media manager, the plumber, the electrician. You know, Fuse.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're getting into that kind of realm
Yeah.
a little bit yourself. You know.
Yeah. You guys do a really good job on social media too. I was showing Danny, my partner, just your guys' social media at the bar, and I think you guys do a lot of really good stuff with that too.
Thanks a lot. That's all me, and that's a huge compliment, because that's probably like one of the most painstaking parts of my day.
It's tough to manage that, especially for like the space, like a space, you know, like it's not like you're branding yourself. You're promoting a bar and getting people to follow a bar, you know. They don't care. They just want to go and, like, you know, they don't care about the stuff
They
a lot
check
of
it
time.
out. They check
Yeah.
it out. They want to see it, but following it's the tricky part. Well, we have a lot of young listeners on here, and you know, people are always. I just had a kid come up to me this weekend, and it was like, "How do I get in here?" You know, I just maybe something you look out for when you're
You're
booking
talking.
guys for you. Yeah,
Yeah.
someone
Yeah,
has
oh,
an
yeah, yeah.
idea for a night. How do they pitch that to you? I mean, have you seen like really good pitches and like some terrible ones, or I'm sure you already know most of the DJs in the city, but you know.
Yeah. Pittsburgh's pretty small, but there's still always new young DJs popping up here and there. I've been lucky. I'm pretty connected in all the little DJ worlds in Pittsburgh, whether it's like house music or open format or hip hop, you know, you name it. I've been around for a long time. So I had a ton of contacts already in the city. But with young DJs now, I will say I don't get a lot of pitches. What I do get is a shitload of DMs that are like, "Hey, I want to play this room on a Saturday with you. How do I get a chance to play?" But like, they don't really send me any kind of like convincing infrastructure to work off of.
Right.
Which I'm sure you guys have dealt with this too. But yeah. So
Yeah,
I my
hilarious.
biggest my best advice to, I was just talking to somebody about this recently, but probably Zimmy, to be honest, because we bounce a lot of stuff off each other. But my best advice for a young DJ is put something together. You know, like really put an idea together and send me something. You know, back in the day we used to call them one pages, but now, you know, people call them pitches, people call them decks, you know, whatever they are. But you know, this is stuff that Zimmy and I used to do back in the day. We used to just put an idea together, and then we'd like go with, you know, back then we would just go to the bar and find the general manager and just be like, "Hey, we want to do this party, and it revolves around this concept," you know. But I don't get a lot of stuff like that. All I get is a lot of DMs.
So basically, do anything above a basic DM,
Please.
and you'll get looked
Please. Yes. Yeah. Seriously. Like, I mean, honestly, I just want to see that the idea is there, because the other thing too about our bar is that we're closed right now 3 nights a week, and nobody's pitching me on off nights, which is really surprising right now. I feel like somebody by this point in the past year or two would have been like, "Hey, what do you think about doing, you know, one Sunday a month, one Monday a month," stuff like that. That's stuff that we would always do back in the day. We'd always look at a venue and go, "Okay, when are they not doing something, and when would they give us a shot?"
Right.
So that's an easy way to get the foot in the door. And our place is so small; it could literally be like, I could be floor managing, my wife could be bartending, and we could give a you know, a younger DJ a shot to see what they can do. You know.
Right. That's what I was just gonna ask. I was gonna say, and with you guys in that spot, it's like just the right size that I feel like it's big enough to where you don't have to have like a huge staff to keep it operational. So
For
it's a
sure.
great spot in terms of like, if I was looking to do a party, it would be great because you get 20 to 50 people in there. You're going to walk in, you're going to be like, oh shit, like it's something going on in here versus, you know, a giant
Yep.
room where it's like, oh, to open this, it costs us this much. Like, we don't want to do it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, for any young DJ out there, I feel like there's always opportunities to get in your favorite spot in your city or your town or whatever it might be. But see what they're not doing, you know, or look for opportunities where even a manager might not be looking for something. Maybe they don't even know that they're on an off night on a Monday, they might be able to get 30, 50 people out to a bar that are all friends with the DJ. Like small places definitely can capitalize on little things like that for sure.
I saw in your notes you had you were doing a mega club before this, and then right? It was like a bottle service club, I guess is the right term for it. You're doing a bottle service club
Yeah.
before this. You owned that as well. Did it just run its course? So it was just like a COVID thing, and then you decided to just position, or?
Yeah. So we, myself and another DJ in town opened it wasn't a mega club by any means. It was like a 300 person room, which for Pittsburgh, that's a pretty good room. It was a nice size room. It was a much bigger room than the Goldmark. It was in an old church, which I feel like is the classic, you know, turn an old church into a nightclub. That's what every major city does. But we've had a ton of those in Pittsburgh too. But yeah, I mean, we put a lot of money into it. We opened that in 2017, and we had a 5-year lease. So when COVID hit, we were 3 years into the 5-year lease. But I mean, Pittsburgh, I don't know about you guys, but Pittsburgh was very hard on small business, especially nightlife. And it was, you know, it wasn't a restaurant. Obviously, we were only doing booze and dancing. So they really the city wanted no parts of that. And, you know, after about 2 months of being shut down and paying all those bills, I had to reach out to my landlord because we were leasing that space at the time. And the Goldmark, we're lucky because we actually own that building. So we didn't have to really worry about that. But anyway, my landlord was nice enough. I was like, listen, we have 2 years left on our lease. You know, is there anything you can do to help us out here? And I'll just be straight up honest with you. This guy has a ton of money and was like, look, you're good. I'll come down. We'll swap out the keys. You know, it was like a whole, there's a lot of like legalities that go along with that with the liquor license and stuff like that. So it was a little bit of a headache, and this guy is definitely a very busy guy. So, you know, it was super nice of him to look out for us and basically cut all those bills back for us. It was a huge weight lifted from us. I hated to see the place close because it was awesome. And right around that, literally 6 months before we closed too, I bought my partner out. So I was running everything. And my wife was basically my silent partner there. And, you know, so 6 months after we buy them out, COVID hits and it's like a disaster. But, you know, there's a lot of learning lessons, a lot of lessons learned. I mean, and it made me that much happier after COVID to get back into my bar and just focus on the Goldmark like 100%. So.
One of the things I was going to ask is, you know, over the 8 years, you know, either at the club or even the Goldmark, has there been something that you're proud of, like, or an event that you thought was really cool, or just anything like that, you know, that you've enjoyed personally as well?
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, it's literally been 4 or 5 nights a week for the past 8 years, just doing, you know, things that I'm passionate about, let alone all the other DJs. But, we have all kinds of funny stories. Like one story I was thinking about, just in case you guys ask me, like, do I have any crazy stories or stuff? Pittsburgh for a long time, not as much now, but they were shooting a ton of movies in Pittsburgh. I don't know if you guys have ever seen a movie shot in Pittsburgh, but tons of movies and TVs have been shot here over the past like 15 years. And I think we were in our second year, and a really good friend of mine works in film and TV in New York City. He actually just moved to Atlanta, but he hit me up and was like, hey, I'm going to be assistant directing a show that's coming to Pittsburgh. And, you know, obviously he wanted to hang out, and he ended up staying with my wife and I in our house for like 3 weeks or something like that. But anyway, it was a show that it was a show on Showtime that Ben Stiller was directing. And whenever we did that show, whenever they were doing that show, whenever they were in Pittsburgh filming this one certain part, they had to film in this jail here. The show's called Escape at Dannemora, if anybody ever wants to watch it. It's a really good show. It's on Showtime. But Ben Stiller ended up at our bar literally every night this 1 week. And
awesome.
Super cool dude, just was hanging out, drinking Espolon, and all the people from the TV from the show came through every night, and they had a big party at the end of the week. But that was really cool. I mean, we've had tons of amazing DJs come through. I'm a big '90s hip hop fan, so we've had Large Professor come through for one of our local DJs, local celebrity DJs, Selecta. His I think it was his 40th birthday, maybe something like that. That was a great night. I mean, I could go on and on about parties and amazing stuff that
Yeah.
has happened at the bar. It's been a really cool ride for 8 years.
I'm just wondering the music programming like during the day. It's something I've been helping out some venues with. Do you
Sure.
program it all yourself? You're just running like a, yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah, so we're not open very much. We don't do food at this bar, so we have food in case somebody needs food, but it's not really like our priority, and we're not open like a restaurant, if that makes sense. It's more cocktails, local beers, and dancing at night after 10 p.m. But on all the downtime, whenever there's not a DJ playing in the Goldmark, I have DJ mixes.
Oh, okay.
So I have bazillion amazing DJ mixes. Most of the time we're playing pretty open format stuff. I would say like lately we've been playing a lot of like disco and like classic funk and soul mixes because I really like that vibe at the beginning of the night. And it really doesn't, for most of the parties, it doesn't really interfere with what the DJ might play later in the night. Maybe a little bit here and there, but a lot of it's like kind of deeper cuts. Yeah. I have so many DJ mixes on our iPad at the bar. It's like crazy. And then I basically set up the iPad. So like when the bartender goes into open, whenever they're getting ready, if you're looking at the iPod and it has playlists, I have playlists of DJ mixes for every single party that's going on for the month. So like one party's like it's like more like on the tech house side. So like I have like a couple deep house mixes that they play before that party, just kind of like lead up into the night. Like it's more of a smooth transition. And if I was playing something more open format and we were in there and people were like grooving to that, and then all of a sudden the DJs went on and we're playing like, Fisher or something. And then they're like, what is happening?
Right.
Right.
So I guess a decent amount of thought goes into that, but I mean, we've used Spotify in the past. I have a playlist on Spotify that has like thousands of songs on it. We used that for a while. But yeah, that's something that we're I'm constantly working on that. I literally just had the iPad at our house like 2 weeks ago, and I was putting new mixes on it to try to keep things fresh. So
I bet because your wife's there, one of the things that we struggle with all the time is like just volume and like keeping the volume at a correct level when it's like there's not a DJ or a musician or something playing. It's like, okay, if there's 0 people at the bar, it needs to be this loud. If it starts getting kind of busy, you need to go turn it up a little bit. Or, if it, during the week, if it slows down, you need to go turn the music back down. We're kind of one of the guys that has helped us with our sound is awesome. And he like built this button into the software that like basically you can push, like a bartender can push the volume, this button, and it gradually takes the volume up like 10 decibels. So like
interesting.
Yeah. So that's like one of the things that's helped us a little bit, because a lot of times they'll just they'll grab all of our stuff's on an iPad and they'll grab it and they'll just abruptly change it, and it's like, whoa, So.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we've been lucky. This is like a huge thing that like nobody ever thinks about, but we've had the same 3 main bartenders since the day we opened.
Wow.
Which that is like such a huge thing because there's no retraining, so like they understand how they all understand how the DJ equipment works now. They've troubleshot some of the DJs if they've had issues, but they understand the volume levels and like how everything's set up for the most part. And really the only thing I ever really relay to them is like, hey, I changed a bunch of the mixes, or try some of these new mixes out and let me know how they work. Or like we just had a place that opened up down the street from us, and it's like a huge food hall. So, it's literally like 4 doors down from us, and this place is massive. So there's just been this huge influx of new people coming into our neighborhood, and we're getting a lot more people early in the night. So we're literally right now, and the place has only been open for less than a month. So we're trying out, like the bartenders are texting me like, hey, is it okay if we like switch it up and play this mix now? We have a lot of older people in here. I'm like, yeah, do whatever you guys think is right. So they're
Yeah.
almost playing DJ. You know, they're like, I tell them all the time, like, you guys are the DJs from 6 till 10 on a Friday. Like, you have to
Right.
figure out what people want to listen to. You know,
Right. One of our biggest struggles is, you know, at Fishbowl, the one bar I play at, we pretty much try to manage the music too, and we get a lot of it's very high volume, and it's been open since 2019, and we have a lot of, I would say most of the bartenders are younger, and for I wouldn't say turnover is very high. I would say, they're college, just after college, and
sure,
they come and go, but one of the things is just always getting them to understand the music. It's like, no, we don't need like Sweetie, My Type playing at like
right?
5 p.m. Like, it's not what
Yep.
needs to happen.
Yeah. I dealt with a lot of that when I had the club. I had like some mixes that were like specifically formatted for like an earlier, younger crowd, but it
Right.
wasn't. There were no like, midnight bangers on there that I knew a DJ was gonna play, and a lot of my staff was younger, and they would be like, "Put on the new Migos album, like you got to play that right now," and I'd be like, "You just got to wait until midnight when the DJs are gonna drop stuff like that, or the new Taylor Swift, or you name it."
Right.
Yeah.
It's about like, people just don't understand that like the whole vision is like lights, sound, mood, like everything creates the vision. And if like one
Yep.
thing's off, it kind of throws the balance of it all off.
Totally. Yeah. I'll be honest. Whenever we first opened, I thought I had, from working in nightlife for so long, I was like, oh, I got this. Like, I know all the ins and outs of this, And while I definitely had more insight in it than probably like a normal person that just decides that they're going to open up a bar one day, but there were still so many learning curves that were just thrown in my way. Like in the first probably like 3 years, I would say I was there all day, every day, just trying to figure stuff out, which Fuse, obviously, I know you're going through that right now too. So
Yeah, I felt the same way. I felt like I knew everything. And then like, we did a full build out, and like, that was like, whoa, like there's a lot that goes
yeah,
on to this. And then like, now, like, we're 6 or 7 months in, and I'm just like, the stuff that I'm thinking about is nothing that I would have thought I was thinking about, or it's just different, and there's a lot more to it than DJs understand. And I was telling Drew this the last time I was here. DJs have like this overinflated sense of like how much money the bar actually makes. They're like, oh,
yeah,
this place has got to do like 20 grand on a Friday night. And you're like, dude, it doesn't work like that, like,
oh
or,
yeah,
it like, I just feel like people throw out numbers, or bartenders tell people this or that, and it's like, it's just not realistic what people hear and what actually happens.
yeah. I used to be like that too, straight up. Like I
Right.
remember when I first started getting serious about trying to really put the idea together of opening a bar. That's when I really started to kind of talk to some of the owners that I was working for when I would DJ their nights, and just at the end of the night, just be like, hey, do you mind sharing some more info with me? I'm just curious. And like, it was honestly like that. It was like some places that I thought weren't doing that well were like crushing it. And then some places I thought were absolutely crushing it, their overhead was so much that they weren't doing as great as you would think they were,
Right.
So
Right.
it's an interesting business.
So you were smart enough to actually buy this building, though.
Yeah.
How, especially for a bar, along with the liquor license and all that stuff, what gave you that foresight?
So it's funny because I talked about a little bit this at Zimmy's conference. I was trying to like preface some of the DJs from out of town just to kind of let them know, like, hey, I get it if you live in LA. I get it if you live in Seattle, where the cost of living is, astronomical. But in Pittsburgh, an article came out recently that was like, Pittsburgh is the last city in America where it makes more sense to buy property than to lease. So it makes more sense to buy a house than to rent a house, right?
Mhm.
So the thing that really changed it for me was I bought my first house in Pittsburgh in 2009 for $89,000.
Wow.
And
Jeez.
yeah.
I don't know what that
So
means.
right, exactly, yeah. So it was a little single family home, like 2 miles outside of the city, in a little cute little neighborhood, But whenever I really was looking at opening the bar, it was kind of like a non-negotiable. I was like, no matter what, I want to own the property that we're in, because I just don't want to. I had seen some owners deal with some nightmare landlord situations.
Yeah.
So since it was a realistic goal in Pittsburgh to buy a building, I was like, let's start there. So the business plan literally started like, okay, what is a small bar and with 2 apartments above it look like commercial? What does the price of that look like in Pittsburgh? And we started crunching the numbers and doing the math. And obviously, like, every neighborhood's going to be different no matter where you are. But we got really lucky because we got in like a neighborhood that was just kind of starting to boom. And I had been DJing over there a little bit, and I kind of saw a gap in nightlife over there. Like all the places that had DJs in that side of town, it was mostly niche nights on weekends. So like, they're doing drum and bass on a Friday in a bar, or they're doing deep house. And I was like, there's nowhere really on this side of town where people can go just kind of hear a good mix of like everything, or like a good open format DJ hear a bunch of different stuff. So we started really looking over there because I figured that it would kind of introduce something new to that market in that neighborhood. And so we got lucky. We bought there. Whenever we bought this building, and it was like the furthest building down that was a bar at the time that was like close to the city in that neighborhood. And we were nervous. Like it was a full rehab. My dad and I rehabbed the entire space ourselves. It took like 8 or 9 months to fully finish it. So there was a lot that went into it, but from a financial standpoint, living in Pittsburgh, I tell this story sometimes, but there was a point in my DJ career where I was going to move to Vegas. And then I kind of had to make this decision of, do you want to move to Vegas, or do you want to plant your roots in Pittsburgh and try to open this bar that you've been thinking about forever? And the more I thought about it, and the more I traveled to Vegas, I was traveling to Vegas a lot back then. And the more I traveled out there and played, the more I was like, I really think the 20-year goal is to kind of buy some more property and open a place. So that's kind of how the whole thing came about.
Smart. I love the foresight in it. I've never wanted to own a bar. Of course, we've thrown around the idea, but then the more you see, dealing with staff and all this stuff, it just sounds like a lot of work.
I mean, yeah, a lot of work is an understatement. Yeah. It's, I mean, even 8.5 years in, we're lucky now because we have such a good staff. They're amazing that they can fill in a lot of the cracks for us. But the amount of work that my wife and I still do is like, I mean, really astronomical. Like I think last week I was messaging you guys, like we have a little outdoor patio that we set up like 4 or 5 years ago. And every year right around this time, we reintroduce it. And every year right around this time, I'm like, it's cool, babe. It'll only take like a day. I'll get it knocked out. It's all good. Next thing I know, it's like a full week, and I'm hanging Boston ferns from like studs that I just drilled into the side of the building or something, So it's always something. There's always something breaking, ASB. That's what we call it.
Would you recommend buying this? Because we got people that are here. They might have this plan, or maybe it was a little thing. You still love it.
Yeah. I think it was like an interesting time in my DJ career. Whenever I did this, I was getting a little burnt out, to be honest. I was DJing like 4 or 5, sometimes 7 nights a week. I mean, you guys can definitely attest to that.
Yeah.
Fuse, you were just telling me about your schedule this past week, and I was like, yo, you're DJing like 10 to 12 hours a day. Drew, I know you're out there hustling every weekend, like crushing it. But yeah, I started to get to a point where the idea of owning the bar was way more exciting to me than just DJing 5 nights a week. Makes sense. It's just like anything else. And like now, 8.5 years in, I still love it, but there's definitely like other things I'm passionate about that I'm trying to like make moves on now. Or, anytime I talk to somebody in Pittsburgh, they're like, when's the next place? When do you open the next place? So we have no plans on opening anything anytime soon. So we're content. I think like it's a good thing to just be content.
It is. Yeah. It's something that I try to master all the time because I feel like I'm never content. I always want more, and I always want more. And there is something to be said for being content because I feel like I have a hard time with that, so I'm
Yeah.
glad that you can feel that way. And it's like that at peace of like, you know what, this is enough. I have enough going on and I'm happy doing it all.
So I
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
read you have a speakeasy as well.
Yeah, I almost just said that, and I'm like, I'll probably leave that out. But yeah, we have
Oh,
a
okay. I'm sorry.
no, 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 no. I didn't know if it was
Yeah.
going to come up later. Yeah, we have so our building in Pittsburgh. I actually got the chance to show Fuse the speakeasy
Yeah, this
whenever
is
he was in
cool.
town.
Yeah, it's cool.
So we had this little apartment. It was in the back of our building, and it was not really like a legal apartment. It didn't have an address. It just kind of had like this door that came into the back of the building, and it went into this back alley. And the very first time we walked in to do a walkthrough of the building, I looked at my wife and I was like, this would be such a cool little speakeasy. But there's a lot of like, regulations around what you can do with a liquor license in every state and every city. You just never know what you can do. So fast forward about, I think it was about 4 years into owning the Goldmark, we had a major like water issue in the basement. And I actually had a tenant down there. They were living down there. It was a good friend of mine, another DJ buddy, and we had two apartments upstairs, and we actually ended up moving him upstairs to one of the other apartments which were actually way nicer. But at that time, I looked at my wife and I'm like, can we just do this? Like, it wouldn't cost that much. I'd love to just like tear this whole place up and just make it a cool speakeasy. And she was like, call the lawyer and see if it's actually even legal, and if it's legal, we'll do it. So that's exactly what we did, and the state had to come in and like, I mean, dude, this place was a disaster. We had pulled up the floor. There was like a dirt floor. It was just insane. But the guy from the state ended up coming in, and he was like, "So what do you want to do down here?" And I was like, "Picture this. There's gonna be plants over here, But anyway, fast forward like a month, and he was like, you guys are good to go if you want to do it. So it's a really small room. It's, in my opinion, it's the only true speakeasy in Pittsburgh because there's no trace of it online except for like what people write about it. And this podcast now. But yeah, it's called The Confidant, which is just, somebody that can keep a secret. And there's a little green light in the alley behind the Goldmark. And if you know about it, you can go. There's no like, people always think there's like a knock 3 times and say the password. That's not the thing. It's open to the public, but you just have to find it. And like a lot of people just can't ever find it. So yeah.
What he mentioned, he said, if the green light's on, it means they're open. And I think that's awesome. He said, there's no social media for it at all. So like, it's, if you know, and you don't know, like, you don't know.
Yeah. We don't really change a lot down there. I mean, the only thing that we do down there that I feel like really has set the tone down there is we do 2 new cocktail it's a cocktail bar. It's like very cocktail driven. We have cocktail mixologists down there, and some of the drinks are just amazing down there. But the one thing that keeps it really moving and grooving is my wife and the other mixologist every single weekend come up with 2 new insane cocktails for down there to be featured. So that's, I think, from what we've heard from our guests, that's the thing that like really keeps them coming back. So yeah, it's been cool.
No, that was going to be my question, is how you advertise it, but it sounds like that's kind of the thing behind it. But how do you keep it like just someone waiting around for someone to just pop in? The bartender just post it up and then just cross their fingers.
It's literally, it's whenever we first opened, it was really funny because it really took like a month for it to kind of like really start grooving. And we had a party to our first weekend. We kind of had parties Friday and Saturday night, the first weekend we were open, and we just invited everybody. And so many people came through. And I was like, with this many people coming through, a lot of word of mouth is going to get out there. Cause we invited all the tastemakers in the city and the people I thought were like, important to come through. And then the only other thing that we do to promote the place is we created a close friends list on Instagram through the Goldmark account. So if you're on the Goldmark's close friends list, you'll get a message every Friday and every Saturday about the speakeasy and like the cocktails or what's new or whatever. But we never post anything publicly. It was funny. We just celebrated 5 years down there, and I almost posted. I was just gonna throw something up for the day and just be like, this message will self-destruct in 24 hours, but we just
Yeah.
celebrated 5 years in the confidant, and we, after talking with him to my wife about it, I was like, you know what? Let's just keep the mystery alive and just keep rolling with it. 'Cause it's been working. So
I love that. It's
Yeah.
it's awesome. One of the
thanks.
questions I had too was when you bought the building, and you mentioned the 2 apartments above, did you guys end up remodeling those, or did you just kind of keep them as is?
Yeah, actually, great question. So I just remodeled both of those apartments a year ago with my dad. Whenever he had some time, I was kind of waiting because
Mhm.
we had tenants up there. So I would tell you guys this whole long saga about buying the buying the building because it's a story in itself. But we got really lucky, and the guy that was selling the building really seemed to like me and my wife, and we had 4 other people that were trying to buy the building too. And we basically had like 3 days to figure out every single thing that we had to do for this place, and have all of our banking stuff in check. And about 6 months previous to this place, we had tried to buy another place, and we were literally the week we were about to close on the bar, everything fell through because the place didn't get permits for certain things that they had done, certain construction things they had done. So the city basically went to them and said, you can't sell your building until you get all these problems resolved. So went back to the drawing board, and that was like a year in the works. And at that point, I had such a bad taste in my mouth about buying another or starting over from scratch because I had already lost a ton of money, lawyer fees, and all kinds of shit. And anyway, when this place popped up, and my real estate agent was like, "You guys got 3 days to decide if you want to, try to purchase this place." And we were going up against some really big money buyers. But anyway, we ended up getting the place. The guy picked us. He really liked us. He liked our story. He loved the fact that I was a DJ forever, and I wanted to open a bar that was conducive to DJs like doing their own thing. He really loved my wife, which is amazing. She's amazing, thank God. But yeah. So anyway, part of the deal was because we had the second lowest offer whenever we presented to this guy.
Well,
Part of the offer was, and this will get to your question about the apartments. Part of the thing that we were able to offer him, he was living above the bar at that time, and my real estate agent was like, "Listen, if you're gonna make this offer, make it the best offer that you can make it." And he just threw out the idea of maybe you can just let him live up there for a while without him paying rent. So we did that. We said, "Hey, for the first year, we're going to let you live rent free above the bar while we do all the construction and work on the place downstairs." And that actually really helped us because he took that as like a really kind-hearted gesture, and then we let him live up there. But he only ended up staying for about 8 months or 9 months, and he moved out maybe like 2 months after we opened. It was just like, "Best of luck to you guys, and I'll catch you around." We still see him around, but yeah, we have two tenants living up there now. One's a DJ buddy of mine. The other one's a really good friend that works at a brewery close by. And yeah, it's been great. The apartments are pretty low key and easy to maintain.
That's awesome.
they don't complain about the noise or anything.
You know
I guess
what?
They realize what's in it.
So another huge obstacle that we had to handle whenever we bought the building was we tried to soundproof the ceiling above the bar and the 2 apartments above. So we had a company come in and blow sound insulation the whole way through the entire first floor of the building where the bar is. And then we put drywall below that too to help dampen it even more. So it helped out phenomenally, but you can definitely still hear the music in the 2 apartments above. It all depends on where you are in the 2 apartments, but I will say that we keep the rent low for our tenants just because we know that they are going to hear some sound, especially on the weekends down there when in front of the building when there's people waiting in line to get in. There's how it is. I mean, we've all been doing this forever, so you know how it is outside of a club or a bar. It gets very hectic sometimes. But yeah.
No, I guess that's like a small dream of mine is to live like above a bar. Downtown. Oh yeah, I really want to. I want to live in a downtown and just be able to walk everywhere. And
I'll get the text. that he's moving above a bar, and I'll be like, "That's the last we'll ever see of him again." He's gonna be from the house to the bar, back to the house to the bar.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Our tenants usually make for really good bar regulars.
Right, right,
They pop in quite often. You know, not like they have a problem or anything like that, but we definitely
right,
see them a lot more when they live above the bar.
right.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on all the success with that. I think it was awesome to get to check it out, and it's awesome to get to hear your kind of your journey with that. The other thing we wanted to talk to you about is you own a DJ agency, the Plenty DJ agency, and you
Yeah,
book DJs. If you want to kind of tell us a little bit about that.
yeah, yeah. So, um, you know how it is when you're a DJ and you can't do a gig, and then you're hitting up all your DJ homies, and you're like, "Hey, I have a gig. Do you want to do this gig?" And so, probably like 2010, I put together like a small group of guys that I was really close friends with that would always cover gigs for me or weddings or anything you could think of. And we just kind of had like a little arrangement where it was like, "Hey, if I get you for this, you know, $2,000 wedding, can you throw me a kickback?" But it was very like loose, you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
very like, I scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of thing. Like, I'll throw you a gig, you throw me a gig. If some money is exchanged to help out with stuff, cool. If not, no big deal, whatever. So when the bar opened in 2015, I had two main guys that I still get hit up for tons of weddings. And I had two main guys that I would always throw weddings to whenever I got emails for weddings. And I just kind of stopped that whole business, and was just like, "Listen, I'm so busy with the bar. If I get hit up for a wedding, I'm just going to send it to you guys, and you guys can work it out. If one of you has the date open and you want to do it, but I don't want to deal with the client at all. Like, I was just too busy to deal with it." And then in July of, I will never forget this because it was like a really funny thing that happened. I hadn't done a wedding since the bar opened. So I think the year the bar opened, I think I did like somewhere between 15 and 20 weddings, something like that. And then the next year, I just completely stopped booking them because I knew I was just going to be like crushed with the bar. And just to be honest, weddings aren't my favorite. I love, it just depends. It depends on the wedding. We all
I
play
feel the
weddings.
same way.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. There's highs and lows with all of them. But
Yep.
so I was still throwing the events to those two guys and a few other people that I trusted with weddings, and I'm just going to keep saying weddings because it was a lot of weddings. But in July, of 2019, it was the summer before COVID, I got hit up in 1 week for like 14 weddings or something for the following
Wow.
year. And
Yeah.
in 1 week, and they were coming in like every week around that summer, and I was like 14.
Yeah.
So I had a little bit of more free time on my hands at that point. I wasn't as busy, so I decided, you know what, I'm gonna put together a little crew and just try to really like learn more about having an agency and like dealing with the marketing and the branding and all that stuff, but also having like a really good team of, every time that you get booked for a wedding, I'm sure you guys deal with this where the wedding couple's like, "We want a nightclub DJ. We want
Yep.
it to be like just like the club." So most of the weddings that I was getting were all because of that, because I was known more as a nightclub DJ or nightlife DJ. And so I always tried to pair them with DJs like that. So my whole thing making Plenty DJ agency was like, I'm gonna gather a crew of guys that all have like a lot of experience doing nightlife, because I just felt like it was the way the industry was kind of moving. DJing was becoming way more of a dominating force in that industry. It wasn't like everybody knows the DJ now. So and the DJ is like front and center on everything. When you pull up Instagram, even the normal person who pulls up Instagram, they might see the DJ in some crazy room, doing hard hands or something that's crazy. But so yeah, so I put together a crew and put the whole business structure. I wrote out a whole business plan for it, and then I pitched it to them one by one, and was like, "Here's what I want to do if you're interested." And I really tried to make it like a huge advantage for them as DJs. So like I had an agency reach out to me a long time ago, and one of the main reasons I didn't end up doing any business with them was because they wanted to take money out of every single thing that I did. So they wanted a cut of not just the events that they were going to send my way, but any kind of event that I would put together myself. Even if I was throwing my own party at a nightclub, they wanted a cut of all that stuff, you know? So I went to these guys and I was basically just like, look, I'm only taking anything if it comes through the website that I set up, or it's a direct contact that goes through me of somebody that wanted to book me. And, you know, I was like, you'll never have to deal with a client until literally the month before the wedding, whenever you talk to them. So that was a huge selling point for them, because a lot of them just didn't want to deal with a ton of the back end stuff, you know, handling contracts and getting paid and doing all that stuff. So it's been great, and it's been growing like crazy. We started out with 5 guys. We started out with 5 guys, including me, and now we have 9 altogether, including me. And I still do some of the work too, but I try to give those guys the bulk of the work for sure.
I
It's
love
awesome.
that. I hate selling myself. It's like the thing that I
Yeah,
hate the most. I hate talking about myself. I hate trying to be like, I'm the guy for this event, or like, even I hate it. So, um, I think it's awesome.
thanks, man. Yeah,
And
I feel you on that too, for sure. Like, there's nothing worse than getting an email and they're like, "Hey, will you DJ my wedding? How much do you charge?" And the whole time you're like, "All right, how many hours? How many this, that, you know,
yeah,
whatever."
and I'm like probably the same for you. If I was selling Drew here, I would have no problem because I believe in the product
Yep.
of Drew, and I'd be like, no, this guy's great. You should book
Yeah.
him, and I would have no problem doing that. But it's like to do it for myself is like, I don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically the feedback I get from the guys. Like, after the first year, I realized that we were onto something, because they were all really happy. You know, they could see I'm very transparent about the money. They could see all the communications that come through from all of the
Right.
clients that we deal with. It's one of those things where it's like nothing's hidden. You know, it's all
Right.
completely 100% transparent, which I believe in that, and I feel like I have this joke I tell my wife. I'm like, I feel like everything that I've always done has always kind of like had the DJ's interest in mind. You know what I mean? From opening the
Right.
bar to like doing this agency now. So, yeah, I think it's important.
Agreed. It's a lot of work
Uh,
for sure.
yeah,
You got
a lot of
your
work.
hands full. I can't even imagine how you're
Yeah,
able to DJ as much.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not DJing as much as I used to. I mean, that's without a doubt.
So
I
one
do.
question then for you with that, since you're not DJing as much, when you do DJ, what are some of the things that you do to like stay on top of music? Now, obviously, I'm sure you're still in the know because you're still doing Music Central stuff. But like as far as taking the time to download stuff or whatever, do you have any tips or tricks or anything that you do with that?
Yeah. I'll be honest. I am probably the wrong person to ask about new music coming out, because I feel like new music. I've been saying this for like the longest time ever, but I feel like I'm completely overwhelmed by the amount of new music that comes out every week. I feel like a lot of DJs probably would say the same thing.
Right.
Um, I have this. I have this. I don't want to say a theory, but I kind of have a way that I like to do my gigs. But really, anytime I get a young DJ that's like, "Hey, what are your advice about getting new music or going through music or preparing for a gig?" It really depends on the gig. I say, well, first of all, really dial into that gig and what is that gig all about? You know, what are you really playing? And I'll just use open format as a perfect example. In my experience playing in Pittsburgh and beyond, I've always said, and I've always told the younger DJs, if I were you, I would really focus on playing songs that work, but playing them in a different way than every other DJ plays them, you know? So I think that's just like a simple piece of advice that goes a really long way. And I'll be honest, when I go to Vegas or when I go to LA and I hear a DJ playing and they play a song that I've been playing every weekend for the past 25 years and they just play it in some weird, cool, unique way, it perks my ears up so much more than hearing like a new track that I haven't heard before, depending on what the track is. But you know, if I'm in a party and really the goal of the DJ is to make everybody dance at that specific nightclub or party, I think that little piece of advice just goes so much further.
Do you think that it's few and far between with DJs, and it doesn't even have to be younger DJs, because Drew and I talk about this all the time, but like with guys that actually pay attention to the songs that make people dance? Because I see it all the time, and I'm like, they'll be like, "Oh, I play this," and I'm like, "Where the fuck are you playing this that works and people
Yep,
dance?" Because I play it, and everybody's like,
all the time. I see that all the time, literally. And or like I'll be watching, I'll be watching some video. I'm just gonna say Boiler Room because I feel like I see all of these videos online now that kind of look
Right.
similar to Boiler Room videos. And the DJ
Yeah.
will play like the most random song I've ever heard in my life, but the whole crowd is like, "Yeah!" And I'm like, I just wasn't feeling the energy there, and I feel like I have a really good lock on what the energy should have sounded like after that song that they were just playing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
are they doing it for the cameras, or maybe they genuinely love that song that the DJ just played, but and maybe I'm just getting old, who knows. But yeah, I see stuff like that on Twitter, and I do feel like it's like a market to market basis. Like Fuse, you're in Cincinnati, and I would say I have not been to. I told you this, but I haven't been to Cincinnati since I did a breakdancing competition there in like the year 2000 or something like that. But I would imagine that the market's kind of similar to Pittsburgh. It's
it
like,
is very similar. In fact, the way
yeah,
the city's set up is so similar too. It's crazy to me.
right, yeah. I would imagine the bar patrons too are probably pretty similar. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
we I've always said Pittsburgh has been like a really hard market to make people dance, and I feel like a big reason is because it's such a small market, and like everybody's kind of stuck in their ways a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I always joke that if they heard the same set at a club in Vegas than I was playing at a club in Pittsburgh, they'd be in the club in Vegas going, "Oh my god, the DJ is just blowing my mind." I'm like, I played that same set last week, and you didn't act like that.
Right,
But
right. I
but
say
yeah,
that shit too all the time. I'm like,
yeah,
people like even like the employees sometimes at the bar will be like, "Dude, whatever you did tonight was crazy." And I'm like, "Dude, I probably played 10 different songs than I played last week in just different
yeah.
ways." And like, I'm telling you, there was nothing crazy that I did tonight. And it's just funny. It's like just sometimes it's the crowd and how they react to the songs. And like, I don't know.
It's tough. Yeah, I mean, like if you're a traveling DJ and you want to like, let's say you play the same place in the one city all the time, and you don't want the bar staff to like, we as DJs, we always try to keep the bar staff in mind because
Yep.
the last thing you want is for them to just be like, this dude or this chick plays the same set every time. But like there is a part of me that's like, but what if the same set or the same songs just always work, and the bar is just that cash register is just exploding for you every weekend, and your tips are out of control. I still play a lot of the same stuff in my sets for sure. I'm sure my bar staff would say that too. But
Right.
but yeah, when we owned the club, there was a really specific night where I had a young DJ playing early. He's a great DJ, but he was playing a lot of like off the wall stuff early, and we had a big group of girls that had come in, and they sat at the bar, and it was like 10 o'clock on the dot. So we were just getting things moving. But, part of the rules when you're DJing at a club are keep people in the room,
Yeah.
and so these girls came in. We didn't have a cover that early, so there was no reason that they even had to stay. And there was a million places on the street around us too. So the DJ was playing. I'm in the office and I'm listening to what he's playing, and I'm literally watching the cameras and I'm watching these girls, and I'm like, "Come on, buddy, what are you playing right now? These girls are definitely gonna leave in like 5 seconds." And I literally counted like 10 seconds, and they just got up and left. They didn't even get a
Yeah.
drink. They sat there and they probably were trying to figure out what to drink. So I had a meeting with all of my DJs, and I was just like, "Look, no, read the room. Like you're still in a nightclub. It doesn't matter if there's nobody in here. I get it. If you got a bunch of new songs and you want to hear how they sound on a big sound system, we've all done that. Like I totally get that. But like as soon as people start coming in the room, you have to understand the room and understand like how to keep people in the room. It doesn't matter if it's a husband and wife that came in and they had the night off from leaving their kid at home. Like what's going to keep them in? Are you looking at them, trying to figure out their age, trying to figure out what were they listening to in high school or when they graduated college? Or, I just feel like these thoughts just constantly run through my head, trying to read the
Same.
room.
Yeah.
It's the
I
lost
think
art.
it is a lost
Oh,
art. I
so
think
lost.
it's we talk about it all the time, and it's I see DJs DJ sometime, and one of the things that I envy about some of these DJs is I'm like, sometimes I wish I could not give a fuck as much as like some of these other guys and just like be out there lottie-dottie playing shit. Cause like I give a shit too much to where that like I'm constantly the same thing. I'm like, what about this? What about this? Are they liking this? No, that song's not gonna work, like, and
Yeah.
I envy that carefreeness sometimes of a lot of DJs, but a lot of times it leads to bad DJing as well.
Yeah. I was peeping your guys' episode from last week. I'm getting reacquainted with your podcast and going back and listen to a lot of the old shows, and obviously I love it. And I have to shout out my buddy Bryce because he has been such an advocate for your guys' podcast. He's on my agency, and he was
nice.
he was so fired up. He messaged me last week. I was actually in the middle of mowing my grass. I was listening to Zimmy's episode, and Bryce messaged me while I was mowing my grass, and the message came through my headphones, and it was like, it read the message to me, but it was like, you just got a shout out and the bar got a shout out. So I appreciate the shout out, obviously. But
of course.
When you guys were talking about you did like the 5 songs that you might not have thought about, or 5 songs that have been working for me lately. Like, and I think the first one you were talking about was that Fergie joint. And immediately I was like, damn, I forgot about that song. Like, that is definitely a sing along, And one thing I always like to do in my sets is I like to do little artist sets. So like little, 5 quick Drake ones in a row. This past weekend, it was like Drake versus Kendrick, that kind of thing. But like back in the day, it was like 50 Cent songs or Beyonce songs or whoever was like really popping at the time. Now it's like Taylor Swift, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it was cool because I was like, man, I totally forgot to go back through like Fergie's discography, and I have all like the regular bangers, Glamorous, Fergalicious, all that, but that was definitely one I forgot about. So kudos to you guys. Keep those going because I love hearing stuff like that.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yeah, I think she's having a big resurgence. She kind of tanked when she did that Star Spangled Banner. And everyone was talking a lot of shit, and then for what it is, like every single Fergie song is just massive right now.
Popping right now, yeah.
That whole generation of music, I feel like even for really young people, it's grooving. Like people love all those sing-alongs. So,
yep.
One of the other things we wanted to mention was that you were kind of telling us you have an app going on, and wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So this is like, I haven't talked to one single person about this, but it's been like in the works, combos, got really serious over the past year. But all right, so in order for me to like really talk about it and convey it to you guys, I want to just ask you a couple of questions and see what you think. And like any DJ that's listening to this, think about these questions. So like, I had these 2 really good friends of mine. They both they're app developers in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's become like a really big tech hub. One of my best friends is a UX manager. So he's a UX manager for apps for like a huge company. And then the other guy that's working on this app his name's Amish. He got named CTO of the year last year in Pittsburgh, Chief Technical Officer of the year last year in Pittsburgh. These are 2 like really good friends of mine. So we're constantly talking about what they're working on, and they do really crazy stuff and they're super talented. So the one night I hang out with 2 of my buddies every Wednesday. We have movie night. We started it like late in COVID. Now we always hang out during movie night on Wednesdays and kick it. And it's been like one of the best things that has ever come out of COVID. But I'm talking to my buddy Joe, who works on apps, and I was just telling him about problems that I saw with like, that I noticed about the bar or like about the DJ world in general, just like little things. So I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions. I want you to just give me some of your own feedback. So like, over the course of your DJ career, how many times have you been asked, where are you playing at this weekend?
A lot.
It probably happened multiple times just this weekend.
Right. Especially when there's something big going on like Cinco de Mayo, because then everybody scrambles at the last minute and they're like, where do we go for Cinco? You know, like that kind of stuff. So like, here's the second question. You just posted on Instagram or Facebook, right? Here's where I'm playing at this weekend. Or like the new bit with a lot of the younger DJs, and even like I do it too, but like the calendar or the single image, April's events, here's all my events for the month, right?
Right.
How many times have you posted that or seen somebody post that and then somebody just hit you up and they're like, hey, where are you playing at this?
Right. All the
And
time.
I do it to friends all the time.
right. And then you end up texting or DMing or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and then here's the last question. How many times have you been in another city or another place where you're looking for something to do? Maybe you're with friends or whatever it is, and you're trying to. Obviously, we're all DJs, and we all have connections, right? So we're able to kind of like text people or DM people and be like, "Yo, I'm in the city. What do you recommend for tonight?" Right? A lot of the times, I feel like when we're in those cities, it's an off night too. When my wife and I travel a lot, and we're constantly looking for cool things to get into.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're traveling in like really weird areas or like islands or something, but there's DJs everywhere now, right?
Right.
So it's just been really hard to find those connections, more and more, even though there's more DJs, I feel like, than ever in the history of time.
Right.
You used to go back. I used to go and look at those free magazines like the LA Weekly or whatever. I mean, I don't know what cities have that, but we don't have it. We don't even have them anymore. But I would go to the pizza spot, go grab one of those OC weeklies, and then thumb through shit to do.
Yeah. I've like, as much as you try to use Google or any search tool on the internet, it just seems like there's not a good resource that's like DJ focused. You know what I mean? Right. And for multiple reasons, there's a million different kinds of DJs. But whatever kind of DJ you are. I just felt like there could be some kind of a resource out there that would help not only regular people find cool parties and stuff going on, because stuff changes so frequently now, but also just for DJs to not only connect, but to share events, or show what's going on in their city. And then last but not least, I'm only bringing this one up because this recently just happened to me. A girl just hit me up. She was going to Vegas for her first time. And she was like, can you tell me some cool things to do in Vegas? I want to go here. I want to go to some nightclubs. I want to hear some DJs. So immediately I'm like, all right, let me hit up this guy and this guy. And I'm reaching out to all these connections that I've made over the years and like trying to find out what's going on. And I'm like, because I want to send her like a nice little itinerary. Like, hey, this is really cool for Friday. This guy's playing on Saturday and MGM, and Sunday, my friend has a brunch party. Go check her out. She's a great DJ. So how many times did that happen to you guys? Where like, I'll just use you an example. Yeah. I'm coming to Cincinnati. It's my first time in Cincinnati. Can you tell me what's cool? What's going on?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's how I always feel about Vegas too. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to send them to like, be like, go see Tiesto at Zouk, like whatever,
sure.
Like I want to send them like, go here. You'll get a cool experience without paying all the stuff for like.
Yep. Yeah. I think I sent this girl 2 options. It was like, if you want to blow money and get bottle service and have like the full crazy nightclub experience, go to, I think I actually said Zouk because my buddy's the lighting director there.
Right.
And then I was like, if you want to check out some really cool, different kind of DJ stuff, go to downtown Vegas where there's all these kind of like niche parties and cool stuff popping
exactly.
up. And Drew, I'm curious to get your insight on that too. Like for where you live, like if you have I have a note in my phone and it's basically just like for people that travel to Pittsburgh, that's like, here's some cool restaurants. Here's some great venues, bars, nightclubs, whatever it is. And then if they want to look up individual DJs, I just put like an @ symbol. Like you can look these guys up on Instagram and check out for where they're playing. That saved me a bunch of time because then I don't have to go on Instagram and find out where everybody's playing.
I had some friends come from out of town, and it's actually, I'm probably the opposite because I'm like, I don't know what to do. I just work too much that I'm not even getting out. I'm like, you have your favorites. I'm like, go do this. This will keep you busy. But
yeah, right.
I do wish I had a better, a better system like you're talking about. I even want that for out of town, to be honest with you, because I'll be like, who do I know, in this city, because I do travel as well.
Yeah. So after talking about these like weird little problems that I was identifying in the DJ world, my buddy was like, hey, we could easily make an app that would kind of like just be geared towards the DJ community for them to share their events to regular people that were looking for events, and also an easy way to connect. So we kind of started talking through that. And then basically we landed on this idea where it's kind of like you open up the app and it kind of looks like Airbnb, where it's a map, dots on the map, but all the dots it's all DJ related. So like the only dots that you see are, DJ events going on. You can filter out events through different kinds of music because everybody has this certain style of music that they're looking for wherever they go, And then you have your profile page as a DJ, and obviously we all use Instagram. I'm just going to keep using Instagram because I feel like it's the most generally widely used thing for DJs to promote their events. But picture your Instagram account, but instead of all your photos, it's just all of your past and your upcoming events. So in line, kind of like an event page, you know what I mean? So you could, this app does not work unless the DJs take to it. And I'm like,
right.
I totally believe in it. I'm like to the point now where I'm like, it needs to exist because I feel like it would be such a useful tool for DJs. It's a super simple idea. And I'm not saying that nobody had this idea before. I couldn't really find anything that was similar to it. But how nice would it be for you to just send somebody your page and just be like, yeah, here's where I'm DJing for the whole month. Now, the thing that makes this really nice is that you can put a flyer up all day that has all of your events. Hey, I'm playing at this place Friday, this place Saturday, this place on Sunday. That's cool. But how many times when you send that to somebody, does somebody write you back and go, what time does the cover start? How old do you have to be to get in? What kind of music are you playing? What kind of artists are you playing? Is there a guest list? What are the drink specials? Well, I mean, that can go on and on and on. There's all these little details that everybody always wants to know about. And another huge part of this is that I run my website for my bar, and I really try to keep my event page up to date. And most websites for most places, to be honest, just usually aren't up to date, unless you're going to like a really, well-traveled city. I just use Las Vegas as the blueprint because they have people that handle all of that stuff. And that's literally their job. Like this is what, 3 months from now, you can see Tiesto at Hakkasan, and this is the cover, and here's the bottle service number, and here's all the info, you know what I mean? But I haven't really run across anything like that. So it's still in development. It's coming along. It looks really badass. I'm super excited about it. I've showed it to a few local DJs here. Yeah. I'm excited to show you guys it. But yeah, like I said, it won't work without the DJs. And then the last thing I will throw out there, in the past 6 months, we came up with this totally new concept that will be incorporated into the app, which is has actually turned into the most exciting part of the app. And it will be, I can't talk too much about it because we're still dealing with a lot of the legal stuff, but it's basically like a new revenue arm for DJs where it will add a whole new revenue stream for the average professional working DJ. And it's so easy to use. And it's something that you do literally on a day by day and a night by night basis whenever you're DJing. And, I don't want to share too much of it about on here, but I will talk to you guys on the side a little bit more about it. Yeah. And then once we get all of the legal stuff dwindled down and we get through a lot of the formalities, I would love to talk to you guys more, and your guests obviously talk more about it and let them know more. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, awesome. We'll have to be back on to talk about it. That sounds amazing.
We're excited for it.
I would love that.
Yeah, and happy. It's always nice to have people that are pushing the industry forward in multiple different ways. And I always appreciate that because I feel, and I'm sure I say this on here all the time, but like what we do is a very energy draining thing. And I always appreciate when I can chat with other people that I feel like are giving back to like the DJ grid, that aren't just sucking all the energy out of me. They're also like giving back, and it makes it like recharges me, it makes me like, like I want to go do this now or like whatever.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Thank you.
No, I can't just for even traveling or just to even go meet new people. Like, hey, I want to go check out these guys, Sounds like a fun party or whatever. Yeah. Good way to find people and connect. So
my wife and I travel a lot, and we're always looking for new DJs to check out. And whenever I do find a DJ now that we've been working on this app for like a couple of years, every time I'm like, man, I wish the app was live so I could just be like, yo, put your stuff on here so people can actually find you when they're traveling, especially travel destinations,
Right. One of the last things that we always do on the podcast, we call the sauce. We'll roll this little segment video. But basically it's any advice that you would give to new DJs, which we already talked a little bit about, or any advice you would give your younger self in general. So we'll roll this video and then we'll hear from you.
It's Bootsy, baby. And this shout out goes out to Drew and Fuse, all the way from Cincinnati to the LBC Bobble. Yeah, I was told you guys are quite the chefs, and you got a delicious sauce that you cooked up. Ooh, and it drips that swagoo and breaks down the recipe. Yeah, and you giving up the pee, cause it's funky. As in good, that is. Finger funkin' good. On the one by the power of the one. Yeah, without that, there is none. So get yours and be in tune with the one that loves you. Get it, baby.
It's amazing. Yeah, that will never get old ever. For some reason, when he says recipe, that's
the best part.
That just really gets me every time. Yeah, it's so good. Yeah,
it's the best part. Bootsy, he's asking,
incredible.
What's your advice is? What's your sauce? Let him hear it.
Yeah, I love talking about this kind of stuff, and I love talking to younger DJs. But I thought about this one because I knew you guys were gonna ask me something along these lines. I think my best advice is the most simplest piece of advice ever, and I hope that DJs really think this through, because what I'm going to say is so simple. It is save money. Save your money.
Yeah.
Like, I completely changed the course of my life just by saving some money. Not a lot of money. It really wasn't that much money. Because banks can still help you with stuff, but even if you want a bank to help you with something, they have to see that you're serious about that. You know, whether it's, I was opening a bar, so it's a little bit, I know not every DJ wants to open a bar, but it doesn't really matter what you want to do. If you want to buy a house, if you need a loan for something, if you have some kind of other business idea, saving money is by far the most underrated thing that a young person in their 20s needs to hear. Because
it's true.
If you start saving money in your 20s, it can completely change everything for you. And not even a large sum of money, you know. It's nice to have a little safety blanket where you don't have to worry about every single gig that's coming in. You know what I mean? It's nice to not take on 900 gigs a month. You know, if you're getting that much work, that's fantastic. But also, like, take it from me, like, you can also burn out really quick too. You know what I mean? It's nice to every once in a while be like, yo, you know what? I already have 4 gigs this week. I don't really feel like doing those last 2 on Sunday for this, whatever it might be. I'd rather have my Sunday off, and I'm going to pass this along to the homies and give them some work too. But yeah, I think learning how to save and learning how to invest your money in anything, whether it's real estate, the stock market, even cryptocurrency a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't think you should invest all your money in cryptocurrency, but yeah, I just think saving money is super important. And yeah, I would love to talk to any young DJ about how important that is, especially if you're in your 20s or your early 30s, and how much saving a little bit can just change a lot for you moving forward, especially in your DJ career. You know, your speakers blow out. You don't have to worry about that. You got a little bit of money saved up. You can buy some extra speakers. You need new tires for the whip. You don't got to worry about that. You have a little savings account just in case something like that happens. So my 2 biggest advice pieces for young people for saving money are, number 1, stop ordering Uber Eats. Because
Love it. Yeah.
that shit is way too expensive.
Yes.
That, like, for me, Uber Eats now is like, it's like a treat, you know. It's like once a month, my wife and I are just drained from working a weekend on a Sunday, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just order some food out and get some ice cream through this thing, you know, whatever. But I'd say Uber Eats, if you're young enough and you can do it, and you're in a city that costs a lot of money, get a roommate. And, you know, they call it the big 3. It's where you live, your car, and food. Those are usually people's 3 biggest expenses. So when you think about that, if you can keep your rent low, you know, let's be honest, when we were all young, we want to drive a fly ass car and look cool, and we thought that girls really cared about that stuff. Nobody cares. You know, I have just as much respect for the DJ that pulls up in the Honda CRV that has 190,000 miles on it as I do for the dude that rolls up in the Range Rover Sport that I know probably can't afford that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just think about, if I was a young DJ, if I could go back in my 20s and really think about those things, I would it would have changed even more of what I'm probably doing now. So
Great advice. And I mean, I'll just compliment you. You're already way ahead of the game just thinking to buy real estate for the bar. I think that's rad that you own that, so yeah,
thanks,
already
man.
ahead of the game, but yeah, great advice.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I think, DJs need to hear from, there's a lot of shit projected on social media of like successfulness and like it's all bullshit. And I think that one of the things that we try to do with even the show is like we want to show other guys that are truly successful on here. People that are actually doing stuff that matters. And I think that you're definitely one of them. And I think people should really take to heart like a lot of the things that you've said in this episode. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. Thanks. And again,
Yeah, man.
honestly, kudos to you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. I think the podcast is awesome. You guys have like,
Thanks, man.
you got the sauce, like Bootsy was saying. The podcast it's official. All the songs, everything's super official. So, keep it up. I look forward to hearing everything from you guys. So,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thank you.
man. I can't wait to come to Pittsburgh. Check it out.
yeah,
the bar.
true. Yeah, or I'll come out near you, man. I want to check you out too. And same with you, Fuse. I got to make a trip out to Cincinnati soon. I want to see your spot, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, anytime you guys are welcome, anytime, and I will play host and show you all around because I think it's funny. Our cities are so similar, and I would love to be like, look, this place is like where you guys are, and like so.
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. We I can't wait for that. And my wife and I are really good at sneaking out of Pittsburgh on like Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays.
Perfect.
So yeah. Okay. Perfect. Well, I'll be hitting you up soon then.
Yeah, his
Cool.
bar is amazing. I was blown away. Like he put a lot of little details and a lot of work into it. It was really impressive.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear it.
Is there anything you want to shout out, or kind of just if you want to plug
Promote?
your social media or anything like that?
Find me on socials at DJ Nugget, on X, Twitter, Instagram. I'm not very active on Facebook anymore. And then you can find me online at djnugget.com. My page is up there. Mixcloud, just type in DJ Nugget. All my mixes are up there. They're on my website too. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got.
Awesome.
And on the bar, the Goldmark, I thought I saw DJ mixes there as well. Did you post some mixes?
Yeah, we have a Mixcloud page for the bar. We used to host the mixes on our website, but we have a ton more content on our website now that we had to kind of make room for the content. And so all the mixes for Goldmark are up on Mixcloud. There's we don't post as many as we used to. We used to do a monthly mix where we'd feature different DJs, but there's still a shit ton of amazing mixes up there, like hundreds of hours worth of the mixes up there from the bar.
Okay.
So yeah, and you can find, if you want to look up the bar, it's at the Goldmark. And just a fun fact I'll point out, this is actually fun. Nobody ever knows what the Goldmark means, and nobody really ever asks either. And they kind of always relate it to gold and nugget, gold nugget.
Okay.
And that was part of it, but the Goldmark is actually named after the guy who invented the vinyl record, whose name was Peter Goldmark. So there you go, little DJ history.
I like that.
Yeah, that's
you
awesome.
Cool.
Cool. Well,
little nugget.
Little nugget for you. Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's going to wrap up today's episode. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.
Peace.